Good evening, everybody. It is welcome to the 1016th regular meeting of the Township of Red Rock. Time of being 6:30, I'd like to call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the traditional territory acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silence. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, the Anishinaabeg people, and Métis people. Thank you. Administration advises that there are no additions to the agenda. Do any members of council wish to make any additions to the agenda? I see none. Can I have a mover and a seconder for a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Smith, seconded by Brand. All in favor? Motion is carried. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose? I'm seeing none. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the closed session portion of the meeting. May I have a mover and seconder to go into closed session? Moved by Councillor No. Seconded by Smith. All in favor? Okay. Motion is carried. We're under closed session now at 6:31. All right, thank you. Council approved the closed session minutes from November 4th, 2024. Council discussed proposed acquisition disposition and some land and legal matters in closed session. We will be going back in after the regular scheduled meeting. Okay. All right, open session minutes of the last regular meeting, November 4, are items 5.1 of the agenda. Are there any errors or omissions? Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor No. Councillor Smith. Yeah, we do. Oh, pardon me. Number 4, we don't have, sorry, presentations, deputations. My apologies. There's none. Thank you, Councillor Smith. All right. So back to 5.1, errors or omissions. We had Councillor Noah and I need a seconder, Councillor Smith. All in favor? Right. Motion is carried. 6.1, we have a resolution from the Township of McGarry regarding, I knew I was going to mispronounce that, implementation of the Rural Road Safety Program. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Good day, Mayor Robinson. Can I have a mover and seconder to support the motion from McGarry? Councillor Smith. Mayor Robinson. So may I have all in favor? Okay. Council supports the correspondence from the Township of McGarry regarding the implementation of the Rural Road Safety Program. All in favor, motion is carried. I got all nervous. The boss walked in. All right, good to go. Next, item 6.2 is for discussion purpose regarding a donation request from the Red Rock Volunteer Fire Department. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Councillor Smith? Oh, sorry, Councillor, were you going to make a Councillor Smith?
Yeah, no, I'm all for us to donate something. Maybe follow what our normal donation policy is. They volunteer, they do a lot for us. I can't see why we wouldn't.
Councillor Brown?
I believe last year at the gala, we had donated merchandise and bowling pass and skating, things like that. And I know the person who won that really enjoyed getting that package. So I wonder if something like that again this year would be worth.
So a couple in-kind donations?
Yeah, like merchandise and stuff like that. It seemed to be a big hit. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So would a season pass, I think is $150 family pass. How much is bowling? I think it's 13 for one round. We could do it in kind up to 250. Counselor Brown?
Yeah. I believe there was like a weight room package, there was bowling, there was
Okay.
maybe some skating and I think a shirt or two, something like that. But I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think there's
sure
a
Ed
problem.
would
I'm
remember
sure
what
we
it
can
was.
easily put something together for that value for $250. That'd be something we can do.
Okay.
We can do that for sure.
Okay, so we'll do an in kind of the amount up to 250. All right, can I have a mover and seconder? All right, Counselor Brand, Counselor Smith. All in favor? All right. Motion is carried. Right. Next is item 6.3 for information purposes only regarding a notice of a study for highway improvements from TBT Engineering. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Counselor Smith? Comments? CAO Figmini, do you want to just give a brief on this? Just so everybody knows what kind of the plan is?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing here is obviously the consultation from TBT Engineering. The proposed plan is the redevelopment or I guess resurfacing, review of the drainage system, improving to the ditching, culverts, etc. So kind of a facelift for 628, as well as the piece between Nipigon and Red Rock on 17. So I think it's a good news story for Red Rock. 628 is long overdue, I think, for resurfacing, and hopefully by the end of 2025, we'll have a nice new highway to come in on that. I believe it's where they're doing 6.82 kilometers. So I think it's a good news story, and it's also one that we've brought as a group to delegations when we travel to both Roma and AMO. So kind of speaks to the fact that they're listening out there as well. So.
All right, excellent. Councilor Brand?
So this doesn't, this the 6.8 does not bring us right up to the White Bridge. It only brings us partially down the Red Rock Road. Is that correct? It looks like here they've got the little picture in the center there. On the bottom map.
Yeah, I can barely see them.
It says right here,
but-
5 minutes, 6.8 kilometers. So I'm assuming that's from the highway into here, right?
Correct.
So it doesn't, I just sort of thought it was going all the way to the White Bridge.
Yeah, it is a good question. I will have to follow up on that.
Yeah. Right there, though, if you look on the map.
But it does have questions, and I'll certainly follow up on that
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it right to the bridge.
for sure.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Counselor Smith?
Change of mind. Do we know if there's any environmental or other concerns that they're asking about, or I guess that I'm assuming yourself, Mark, will be communicating that to them. I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is an MTO project, right? So they, but I'll certainly ask all those questions. For sure, and bring those answers back.
All right, are there any further questions? 6.3? Okay, we'll move on to 6.4. Next item for information purposes only relating to an update on the OMPF fund from the Minister of Finance. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Let's make a quick remark. This is the first time I've seen it go up.
Yeah, it is definitely the first time it's went up in the you know, almost 4 years, I've seen it come through the township of Red Rock. I'm not sure of the history prior to that, but definitely this is the first time.
And then with the OMPF funding is used for, what are we able to use that for again? Want to allocate that, just so people are aware of what we can spend it on.
Yeah, so the OMPF is Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. So it's one of the, I guess it's the only government funding that we get that we can actually run through operating. So there's really no strict parameters behind it. So all other sources that we get in those of those magnitudes are used predominantly for capital projects. But OMPF is an allocated fund. It comes quarterly to every municipality in Ontario, and it's your partnership fund with the province. So it's really there for you to operate with or assist in operations.
Councillor Noel?
So Mark, is that funding that has to be used, like within, let's say within the year?
Yeah, so I mean, in a municipality, it technically all runs on an annual. So that is money that we then take that money, knowing that, and build it into our budget. So that enables us to fluctuate or to flow through. So yes, it's money that flows through annually. And I mean, as a municipality, for us, we can't defer revenue. So that's unless we put it into a specific reserve fund of that nature. So yes.
I see no further questions. Okay, we'll move on. 7.1, reports from committees. Next item are the minutes from the Red Rock Public Library Board meeting on October 8th, 2024. Do any members of council have any questions? Absolutely, Councillor Smith. Yes, you may speak.
Oh, I just wanted to state, being there in the minutes here, they do speak about facility maintenance. I do have a quick little blurb here, but just want to state that they do have issues there. So I do hope that it does get addressed. It is all I wanted to kind of reiterate.
Yeah, and so noted. We've had many discussions with the librarian around facility issues. We're working on some, remembering again that it's council that owns the facility, right? And it's council that makes those decisions through a budget process. So I mean, these requests being a roof, we're looking at leaking in the roof. But when it comes to parking lot resurfacing, et cetera, things like that, we'll work collectively with the library to try to work through some of their concerns. But remembering again that we have numerous facilities that we're trying to maintain and keep up with a budget that is tight. But it's so noted. It came through as a recommendation in the minutes, and we'll work to speak to the librarian based on that, and we'll bring those options to council to make decisions on how much money they want to invest into the facility.
Councillor Smith?
No, it's appreciated. And the reason why I only call it out, and for me, it's mostly, I'm thinking about the leaking, being a library with books. That was where I was more kind of drawing the attention to.
Yeah, and it's been a challenging one, that because so noted. I mean, I don't know it, but chasing a water leak sometimes isn't the easiest thing on a roof. The other challenge with it is trying to get someone to look at what is deemed to be a small job in today's world. It's a challenge, but so noted, and I'll continue to work through this process and speak to the librarian tomorrow about some of these requests.
Councillor Brand?
Is that a flat tar roof? Do we know? Flat tar roof?
Yeah, it's I guess it's like a rubber membrane. Original, or at least very, very, very much the same time as the building, not original, but I believe it's getting into above the 20-year or higher on that building as well as the library. So when you look at capital facilities, we're seeing, and some of it will come up later in the agenda, we're seeing outside of some of our newer facilities, we're seeing where a lot of facilities need capital work.
Roofs are expensive. They really are. Council Brand?
And I don't know if Councillor Smith can answer this. The automatic door, is it not working or is there just a little bit of issue with it? Oh, there's no automatic door on there? We have a ramp. And there's no wheelchair door. Oh, okay.
So I can speak to that, that situation. I did speak with Nancy about that. So there was a accessibility funding for the municipality within the the structure, the facility. I believe it was maybe 2 years ago now, if not last year. There was a funding model of $50,000 to cover the accessibility for the building, which at one point may have included the library and additional pieces of the building. When the project came through and we ended up with what you see at the facility, one door, $50,000. So it's not like we forgot the library by any means, but the funding model did not, it literally covered the one door that you see, and that was modified to meet the funding. So
Yeah, the funding is not catching up with the inflation of the construction. That's it's everywhere. So unfortunate, but any further questions, comments? None? Okay. Is there a mover and seconder to approve the minutes? Councillor Smith? Mayor Robinson? All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. All right, 8. So 8.1, first report, 8.1 from the Community Development Officer. I guess the questions are being directed to CAO tonight. So any questions or comments? Councillor Brand?
Just a question about the Canada Day. It says here that she generally applies for the 5,000, but typically they only receive 20. Is that because we're not having big enough events, or is there a reason why we don't get what she's asking for?
it's a question I can bring back through Ashley, but I think what we do is we shoot for what we can get, and that's more of a base funding that you're going to get, but you always try to get more. So, but I can have Ashley address that on her return.
Are there any further questions of the report? I see none. Can I have a mover and a seconder to approve the Community Development Officer report? Brand, second by Noel. All in favor? Motion's carried. Apologize, Whitney. Some bad writing on here. All right. Report from Fire Chief at 8.2. Do we have any questions? No, there's no questions. Okay. Can I have a mover seconder to report to accept the report from the Fire Chief? Mayor Robinson. Councillor Smith. All in favor? All right. Motion is carried. All right, 8.3, reports on administrative activity. So I'll pass this over to you, Mark. Or does anybody have any questions prior? I think we'll just go with Mark.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'd start with the summary of activity with the tax sale that occurred on November 7th. the Township of Red Rock, we had listed 3 properties up for provincial tax sale. We were successful in selling 2. The one property with the high value did not sell, but we'll be coming back to council with recommendations on how to deal with that property, similar to cases we've had in the past, where probably the recommendation at this point would be to vest in that property. It's a high valued property, and that's mostly because of the tax arrear situation, the length of it, as well as the fact that that was the house that we had to clean up, that was part of a previous tax sale that was burned, and we had to clean it up. So we did have 2 successful tax sales. So minimum bid on both properties was met. That's what we get as a municipality. Any extra goes forwarded to the province. So we're working through that process right now of cleaning up all the paperwork based on that. So that's, again, a good news story. It shows that we're being diligent with the processes internally, with staff. I think I speak on behalf of my staff, do a fantastic job of monitoring those situations and putting a tax sale process in place. And when you catch them early, they have values that you can sell. So that's a good news story. If I get to direction, discussions and updates, again, it's Roma annual conference. I have submitted and met the deadline for delegations for that conference. So we've shot for the stars and are hoping to speak to many ministers based on situations or funding models based on infrastructure, obviously, northern development, into the mining sector based on some projects that are happening. So we won't unfortunately have the results of how successful we were till about a week before we go. Unfortunately, that's the way it works, but we have met our deadlines, and we're hoping to be able to lobby at that point. Quad Council meeting is happening Thursday evening. Agenda or tentative agenda is set. So that's just a reminder. Again, we have RSVP'd for Red Rock, so we're attending with the Township of Red Rock. The 3 number down is a high lift pump. So it's at our water plant. And it kind of highlights where I was going with some of the infrastructure needs in the community. So this is both a need and an MEC compliance coming out of a recent inspection. I believe it was last January. So what we've done as a team internally is we've looked at all of our facilities based on priority and based on funding. So what we're looking at is bringing this to council very shortly with a recommendation to replace, again, based on compliance as well as need in our water plant, a high lift pump. It's going to come with a cost of about $100,000, and it will be funded through our CCBF, which is a community building fund. So and we'll bring that information to council. We're just working our way through the process of procurement and on that now. So I just wanted to highlight that because it is a significant cost, and it will need approval of council at that time. But it's again the piece of managing your facilities, prioritizing your facilities, and we have some work to do in our facilities, both from a compliance as well as an operational standpoint. So that'll be coming back to council in the near future for approval. Again, working through that, it's in around that $100,000 cost that will be funded through a taxation process that allows us to not go into the tax base for that. So And that's why we save and work towards those funds. So Rock Tech Lithium, there was a request from council to reach out to Rock Tech and have them confirm to come and speak with us. They have done that. They will be at our council meeting on the 16th of December to provide council with an update on that. Council meeting date change request. The request is to go to one meeting in January. We would like to host that meeting on the 13th as opposed to the 6th and the 20th. The reasoning behind it and the recommendation is, I mean, we'll be coming just off a long break for holidays from staff. And on the 20th, both the mayor and I will be attending the Roma conference. So it just makes sense. It's logical. It's what happens more times than not just in Red Rock, but all communities when you look at the major conferences and that. So what we're looking at is to schedule that meeting on the 13th. And office Christmas holiday hours. It's funny that we bring this up because today I probably got 70 emails from other communities in a thread where everybody was asking others what they do with their holiday allotments and their holiday scheduling. It's good to report that what my plan is to do exactly what I say 100, if not 99% of other municipalities are doing. So what you will see, and this is strictly the office staff, because I mean, there's public works will work off a different schedule. But what our holiday plan is to work until the 20th, and then be off the week of the 23rd to the 27th. So in there is 3 stats. It'll also carry us through to the 31st, so we wouldn't be open them. Again, there's 4 stats and 3 holiday days in there that staff would use lieu time or their holiday time. It puts us to January 1st. What I'm recommending we do is we open again on the 3rd, the 2nd and the 3rd, but not to the public. It seems to be a lot of the norm of what people are doing now. It gives our staff, all of us, the chance to come back. It gives us the chance to clean up our year end, to work that way. So we'd be open again to the public on the 6th, but we would be in the office working to clean up our 2024 year end and others on the 2nd and 3rd. So that is the Christmas holiday hours update. Public Works, we will make the public aware of garbage collection and those kind of issues in the mean. But that's our holiday hours for 2024, and we'll post that and make the public aware of that. That's all I have on my report, unless there's any questions.
Questions from council? No, it was a thorough report. Yeah, everybody needs holidays, you know, Christmas time, it's a good time. Honestly, that's a good schedule.
Thank you.
Christmas is a good time. Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder? No. And Smith, all in favor? Okay, motion is carried. Okay, 8.4, report on proposed water rates for 2025. Do members of council have any questions or remarks? Councillor Smith?
So far. So these are the options we have for these increases for the water rates. Is that what I'm understanding? So we either 3,
Well,
5, 7, 10.
Or any option that council, or any number that council desires. We provided these options to you based on the water rate study that was done through the municipality. So which is a recommendation of 5% from the annual study. But we thought we'd give council 2 things, many options, as well as tonight to discuss it, and then the next council meeting to bring it back to be approved by resolution, so that we can be ready to go right away in January. So So what you see is clearly drawn out with your current rate and what each percentage increment looks like. But it again is, it is the decision of council on where they want to go. Now, 5% is again the recommended from the rate study. And you can clearly see how that lays out in the one document. And we have went higher in the past on an aggressive route, because we are seeing that infrastructure is required. But again, those are varying options for council. Council can set that rate. That's.
Councillor Smith?
So what you're asking for right now is just our opinion, what we were leaning towards. Is we're trying to do right now to prepare for the thing. I personally, and I might be not the common number. I'm thinking 3%, because I'm looking at 3 and 5%. There's not a huge difference between those two. Like realistically, it's like 5 cents or something like that. Not even. I can't see. But I'm at 3%. That's all I gotta say.
So one thing to know, when the rate study came out, it was we weren't charging enough for water at the time. So, you know, the more this goes up, the less that, you know, the taxes have to subsidize for the water, because this is to basically cover the cost for usage. So this is a usage based thing. So again, 3 to 5 to 7%. You know, the increases that they recommended were to come in and cover those costs. So we weren't taking it from the tax base. That's what where these increases generated from. So again, yeah, I'm okay with 5%, because it is based on use. So I'm comfortable with that. I'm also comfortable with 3, as Councillor Smith said. It doesn't seem like much of a difference. Maybe just bottom line, we have to just look at that. Any other comments? Mayor Robinson?
I'm fine with the 5% quarterly. So every 3 months, it's a $9 increase. So $3 a month if you go with the 5, or just less, right? Just but the 5%. I know nobody likes to see an increase, but that is a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons if people, or whatever, however you want to rationalize that in your pocketbook. But I'm okay with the 5%.
Councillor No?
Yeah, I'm in favor of the 5%. I think if we don't, we're going to be chasing this. We might as well. I guess my vote would be to come in at the 5%.
Councillor Brand?
I have a difficult time with any increase. I know we've increased our first year we were on 15%. We did another 5 last year. Right now, my water bill was $211.60. The water I used was only $20 of that. Now my water will, if we went with this number, will go up to $250. I wonder about how this is going to affect our seniors, people on fixed incomes. I understand what you're saying. We need to do it, but I would rather see us make some maybe changes in our like if we can accommodate somehow when we're doing our budget, making cuts somewhere or doing something else to save money somewhere so we don't have to put it up so high. If I had to make a choice, I would go 3%, but I would prefer if we could not do anything, to be honest. But
Any further comments?
No, I guess, I mean, fully understand the comments, and again, they make a lot of sense, but I mean, realistically, we do, like, nothing is going to put you behind, for sure. So is 3%. When you think about it from that perspective, it does, we always get the tax base question and the supporting of the tax base question. We can't have one without the other. Like, we can't say we're not going to raise water and then 3 months later we're going to have the same discussion about not wanting to raise taxes. Nobody likes it. I don't like it. It's me that sits here and has to make the recommendations, but the water study is there. The data is real. Red Rock residents pay less than the average resident. I believe an average bill in other communities could be into the $400 to $500 quarterly. So the other thing we can't do, unfortunately, in our roles in government is, and we hear it all the time, we're sympathetic about it. We really are. But we don't tax individuals based on income, like you would in your income, your federal income. I mean, we tax based on usage and assessed value. So we're very underfunded in our water, and then we generally need to find that same money somewhere. So the recommendation, that's why the recommendation is at minimum 5. And we then still, at 5, we're still going to have to be very conscious in a budget process. And I think council in this term has done that. I mean, we've significantly cut expenses in our budget. The two that are very hard to cut are water and sewer, because you've got to look at those as essential services. So the recommendation and the numbers are in front of you. And again, it is 5% that is recommended from both the rate study as well as administration at this time.
Okay, Councillor No.
Yeah, and I think like just look, it would be one thing if it was just looking at one increase, but when I look at the chart here, we're going to be looking at consistently it being 5%. And then my worry would be falling behind again, and then it's going to be awfully hard to dig out of that hole. It's not going to be any easier in the future to then be asking for 6 or 7. It's almost, I understand completely about it being painful, but it's almost, I guess I would be in favor of doing it now, and as opposed to having to dig a little bit deeper in the future.
And we are ahead of our projected rate. When you look at the chart, I mean, you see where we are now and where we, should be in 2025. And that is because Councillor Brand is exactly correct. Council did go higher than the recommended 5 at one time. I believe in the report just presented, we see that the investment to that plant is $100,000 for one piece of equipment coming up. And I mean, there's, again, to fall into this same discussion, if there's cuts that need to be made to meet the budget requirement, then council should bring those to us as well through that process. But water and sewer, in my opinion, are not the place to do that.
Right, and keep in mind too, I do believe that, in our small town, everybody does have a duty to help your neighbors. I think at the end of the day, if there's people that are suffering, I think that the people that aren't suffering have the duty to help. And I think we have the duty to raise food banks. I think we have the duty to do what we can to help people. And it's these costs right here that it's the business of running a municipality. But on the other hand, knowing that this stuff happens and it's part of the day-to-day business, people need help, then people should step up as well. So are there any further comments? See none? Okay, so we'll bring that back and go from there. Okay, so we're on 8.5. The next report at 8.5 is a report on the arena compressor. Do members of council have any questions for CEO Figley. No questions? Okay. So can I have a mover and seconder? Mayor Robinson? Counselor No? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Council enters in an agreement with Simcoe Refrigeration to provide a new compressor for Red Rock Arena in the amount of $61,850 plus HST to be funded through the Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF. Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda at 8.6 is a report on the draft complaint policy. Do any members of council have any questions?
So again, just looking to bring this to council, to bring it back, again, a recommendation to bring a policy of this nature forward. And that's what we're doing. It kind of compresses or simplifies a process and should guide us in a better direction on dealing with complaints that come into the office.
Okay, so this will be brought to council next meeting. Oh, sorry, Councilor Brand.
At paragraph 6.2, the forms will be available on the township website and the office. Could these also be available, like have those little pockets, maybe one down at the library and one at the rec center?
I mean, I guess we could have them available wherever. Again, this is, I mean, it's not necessarily designed for what you might call frivolous complaints or you know, but I think the standard of having it available on the website and in the office covers that. But I mean, if council wants them in other places, we could certainly do that.
Councilor No?
And Mark, just for clarification, this would fall in line with other complaint policies in other jurisdictions?
Yes, and it certainly does. I mean, it clearly lays out the process. It also clearly lays out the process if it's a complaint, say, against myself, for example. Yes, it's in compliance. It meets what most communities will do, and it's drafted that way. And there will be additional reports coming to council within the next, before January 1st of 2025, to meet compliance in some other areas as well.
Further questions? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Mark. 8.7 is a report on a deeming bylaw. Do any members of council have any questions? Mark, do you want to kind of walk through this a little bit for us?
Yeah, I can provide a bit of a summary. I think Deputy Clerk Samantha Cameron has done a good job of laying out the parameters of what this is. It's in essence combining two vacant lots in order to construct one dwelling based on those two lots. So it's called the deeming bylaw. It exactly does that. It's council's approval that approves that. So what you get out of this is, in this case, you have an individual who would own 3 lots consecutively, wants to build on 2 of them, and then you know, either sell the additional property and or whether it may be knock that down eventually, and that's the, but in essence, what you get out of this is 2 small lots that become one. Based on the tax base, you get a new structure there. So a new home, it generates tax dollars, and it's the process of making this happen.
Councilor Brand?
Couple questions. I think in here it said a core floor building. Is that core floor? That means no basement?
Correct.
Okay. And then, so they're combining two properties, so each property would be serviced. So do we have any kind of work to do with closing, like shutting off any of the disconnecting any of the water or sewer on those? Or are they going to still use both services? Like, are they gonna have a service, say, in the garage, have a washroom or that kind of thing?
I think we're a little early in the process for that. I mean, if there was deemed to be one service lot that wasn't required, it would simply be the turn of a valve, right? That would be it, but I don't know what the intentions are. If he was to build a garage, say, on an additional lot and he had a service request for that, then we would bill him for that.
Any further questions? No, see none. Okay, 9.1 bylaws. So the next item is 9.1 bylaw to deem certain lots in subdivision plan 780 not to be lots on registered plan of subdivision. So bylaw 2024 1376. May I have a mover and seconder? Mayor Robinson? Councillor Smith? All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay. Okay, under new business, we have none. Unfinished business. Waterfront alcohol bylaw, RV park, bouldering wall, Nipigon Joint Council. Do we have any updates on any of those?
No, I'm working on all of them, and we'll have updates in the future.
Okay. All right, so number 12, we're on 12 now, so we're gonna have to go back into closed session now. So we'll make our way there and we shall be out. Thank you. Can I have a mover and seconder to go back into closed session? Councilor Brand, Robinson. She'll go back into closed session at 7:46. All right, can I move and seconder? Oh, sorry, all in favor? Motion is carried. All right, thank you. Yeah, we're back. Council discussed the same thing we discussed previously, just some legal matters. All right. So unfinished business is carried. Confirming bylaw. Next item is confirming bylaw 2023-1377. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the confirming? Mayor Robinson. Councillor No. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. All right, motion is carried. So the next council meeting will be held Tuesday, December 3rd. As the time is now 8:24 and there's no further business to attend, as chair, I'm pleased to declare this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.